Hey YouTube, my name is Trevor Bagnall, and today I'd like to talk to you a little bit about all of the kit and accessories that I've bought to go along with my Panasonic GH5. We'll talk rig, lenses, a little bit about audio gear that I've bought to go along with my GH5 for the style of video shooting that I like to do. Now my style is mostly corporate video in an industrial environment, but I also do some commercial video and the odd YouTube video such as this. So the first lens that I bought to go along with my Panasonic GH5 was, drum roll, the Olympus 17mm M Zuiko f1.8. And you thought I was going to say the Sigma 18 to 35mm, didn't you, along with the Metabones adapter? Well, that would be the second lens that I bought, actually. It would have been the first lens, but at the time, the sale of Metabone speed boosters was so through the roof that it was about a 4 to 6 week waiting period just to get one of these puppies. So in order to have a lens to play around with the camera and get familiar with it at the time, I bought that Olympus M Zuiko 17mm lens just to have something to actually have on the camera. There's a reason the Sigma 18 to 35 lens is so popular. It's a superb lens that works excellently with the GH5 for all-around cinematography. There's a ton of videos on YouTube about this lens with the GH5, so I don't need to say anything more about this one. As far as the Metabone speed booster adapter required to use the Sigma, I went with the XL 0.64 version, as I don't find it vignettes at all when in video mode. Some folks, or most folks, went with the Ultra 0.71 version as they were concerned with vignetting, but really for me I found that's only an issue in photo mode with a focus of 20mm or less on the Sigma 18 to 35. I tried using the Sigma 18 to 35 lens on the GH5 along with the Zhiyun Crane V2 gimbal, the video is linked up above, but with mixed results, so now it's used mainly as my cinema rig go-to lens. The next lens that I bought is the Canon EF 70 to 200mm f2.8 Mark II, IS Mark II. This lens, I bought this mostly for portrait photography, but it's a great video lens as well. Anytime that you need that, depth of field just so, or you just need a longer focal length to get the shot, it's a great lens overall. Very crisp, of course, and is a main go-to for a lot of Canon users. And I really like Canon glass, and I wanted to be able to adapt Canon glass. So once, of course, that I had the Metabones adapter for the Sigma 18 to 35, this was a natural next fit for a long telephoto lens to go along with the rest of the rig. So I spent some time thinking about the next lens that I wanted to get. I wanted a good all-round walking around lens, something that I could keep on the GH5 most of the time for just average, everyday kind of use. I also wanted to get something that would have a focal length that would already complement the lenses that I already had. So I kind of figured out what I had for lenses and what the equivalent full frame focal lengths for those lenses would be, and doing the math, I kind of come up with the following. The Olympus 17mm is an equivalent 34mm full frame lens using a crop factor of 2 for the GH5. This is good overall in almost 35mm cinema length lens and fast at f1.8. It's an 8 4/3 lens, so it's super fast autofocus, and being a really nice small lens, using it to film in public can be very discreet. The Sigma with a focal length of 18 to 35mm equates to an equivalent full-frame lens of 23.04mm to 44.8mm, while the Canon EF 70 to 200 equates to 89.6mm to 256mm, given the camera's crop factor of 2 and the speed booster factor of 0.64. So in comes the Leica DG Vario L Merit f2.8 to 4 12 to 60mm lens. So it's got a good focal range for just average daily use, an equivalent full frame focal of 24 to 120, so it complements the Sigma and Canon ranges nicely in the middle with a little bit of overlap. And it's, of course, autofocus lens, but it also has the image stabilization in the lens that works in dual image stabilization mode along with the image stabilization in body in the GH5. This lens also is a good fit for use on the Zhiyun Crane V2. It's just nice overall size and weight that works very well with the gimbal. Next, I want to talk a little about my cinema rig setup, what components I've put together to form the rig, and a little bit around the functionality of the rig and the various configurations. We'll start the build with a Mi Video Travel tripod in carbon fiber, making it strong and lightweight. The head and one leg of the tripod are removable to convert into a monopod, making it very versatile. The tripod uses an Arca Swiss style mounting plate to which the small rig base plate mounts. The base plate is included as part of the small rig Ultimate half cage kit for the GH5 with the battery grip. The base plate assembly has 15mm rail mounts on both the front and back of the base, but the rails cannot be a single piece from front to back due to the construction. 2 rails out the back are added, as well as 2 rails on the front of the assembly. Next comes the GH5 battery grip, and then the GH5 itself. To the GH5 mounts a Metabones Ultra 0.64x adapter so that I can mount the Sigma 18-35 Art Series lens. I do have 2 main complaints about the small rig cage. The first is the cage being a half cage flexes a bit too much for my liking, but I'm loading the cage up pretty good. The other complaint is that the GH5 with battery grip can move relative to the cage when the Sigma lens is attached, but that's more of an issue with GH5 and the lens being very heavy and only mounted with 1 screw to the cage from the bottom of the battery grip. But it was important for me to build the rig based on the battery grip being attached so that I can swap out batteries on the grip for long interview shoots where power for a dummy battery might not be available. To compensate for the camera weight, I added a lens support that sits just ahead of the zoom ring. On top of the camera mounts the DMW XLR1 audio adapter for dual XLR camera inputs, along with 2 Rode BXLR adapters so that I can use 3.5mm inputs in addition to XLR microphones. Then comes the DMW XLR1 helmet kit, and to compensate for the flexing of the half cage, I made up a bracket that helps brace the half cage that mounts to the XLR helmet and then connects to the 15mm rail below, making for a very robust assembly without adding too much weight. The last component that is included in the small rig Ultimate half cage assembly is the handle that mounts on a NATO rail on the XLR1 helmet. The handle has a 15mm rail mounting hole so that a rail can be mounted perpendicular to the handle. Off that crossbar I mount not 1 but 2 Rode Filmmaker wireless lavalier receiver kits and the Atomos Ninja Inferner external recorder and an HDMI cable. Next comes a Foca DP500 Mark III follow focus, a set of shoulder rig handles that I cannibalized off an older, cheaper shoulder mount rig, and then the pièce de résistance, a Foca DP500 Mark III matte box, which of course comes with the French flag and the side flags, and is a swing-away matte box that allows quick access to the lens to be swapped out for whatever is needed. What I really like about this rig setup is how flexible it is. With the shoulder rig handles, I can use them for additional control handles when tripod mounting the rig for smooth pans and very good control of the camera rig. Since it is mounted on the Arca Swiss plate, it is quick to loosen the tripod and remove the rig for shoulder mounting, and then be able to put it right back onto the tripod again in seconds. It is also very easy to remove the camera and lens from the rig. I just need to detach the DMW XLR kit from the top of the GH5 and set it aside on one of the extra cold shoe mounts on the handle. Loosen the battery grip from the bottom of the GH5 and then slide the camera straight out of the back of the rig. Putting it back in place is just as easy. I really like the follow focus system. It has adjustable stops which allow for the operator to line up the stops to the full focal range of the Sigma 18-35 lens or to any 2 focus rack points quickly and easily. A slip-on gear ring from followfocusgears.com pairs perfectly with the Sigma 18-35 and the follow focus gear. The Mi Video Travel tripod is insanely versatile. It can be configured to sit very low to the ground with a clever leg design, and when fully extended, put the camera almost 7 feet off the ground. You never have to worry about uneven ground and leveling the entire tripod, as the tripod head is a ball mount and you can level the camera super fast, adjust your monitor, and then start shooting all in a few seconds. The gimbal that I chose was the Zhiyun Crane V2. A few months after I bought this gimbal, they announced the Crane 2, which will handle heavier payloads, and if I hadn't already bought this gimbal, I would have probably gone with the Crane 2 instead. A per-gear tripod threaded into the base of the gimbal provides an additional handhold for manipulating the gimbal, and also comes in handy when you want to set the gimbal down or balance the gimbal. Adding a handle crossbar assembly in Zhiyun Remote allows for a monitor and a Zoom H4n recorder along with 2 wireless receivers to be mounted for superb video and audio quality on a gimbal mounted camera. It can make for a heavy assembly, but not as bad as one might think. I still have a little trouble walking with the gimbal and not having that up and down walking motion evident in the footage, so I take it up a level. I modified a Segway X2 off-road personal transporter, video linked above, to be a kind of a camera doll, which can be knee-steered, leaving both hands free to control the gimbal. And rolling. Remind me, I gotta tighten up that yoke. And we'll take a quick run out the driveway. Get a bit of a distance run. So we're going over some fairly rough terrain here, and I think it'll be evident in the footage. It's pretty smooth. So this is not the most level and even and smooth gravel driveway, but I think you can see the footage is pretty stable. Turn around here and go back now. And back onto turf. And back where we started from. Hey everybody, well that's it for this video. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to the channel. And also, please check out the video that I did for Segway Nova Scotia. Shows a little bit more about some of the camera footage that I got with the modified Segway. And if you want to see the video on the modification of the Segway, of course, that was linked previously in the video. So until next time, this is my pal Tonic. My name's Trevor, and we'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.